Imagine stepping into your backyard and realizing none of your fences came from a store. The glowing flower border by your tomatoes? That used to be soda bottles. The halo of metal rings wrapped in morning glory? Just old bike wheels rescued from the junk pile. Even that designer herb wall is nothing more than a broken ladder, cracked mirrors, and forgotten clay pots. In the next few minutes, I'll show you 10 fences built from trash that look like a tiny European courtyard, so you'll never look at your garbage or your garden the same way again. Welcome back to Backyard Fortune, where we turn everyday trash into tiny garden miracles. Today we're building fences and borders that don't just mark the edge of your yard, they grow food, catch the light, and make even a small space feel like a storybook courtyard. If you love ideas about upcycling, edible gardens, and magical little corners made from almost nothing, hit subscribe and stay with this series. And if one of these designs sparks an idea in your heart, please share this video to your WhatsApp groups and Facebook feed, so more garden lovers can dream with us. Everyone who has watched and shared this video, I honestly wish you long, healthy, peaceful days in your own backyard. One Bottle Blossom Storybook Fence. Imagine walking into a small garden just as the early light settles across the leaves and seeing a fence that seems to glow from within. At first it looks like clusters of giant blossoms, translucent and soft, as if they were crafted from morning light itself. But when you step closer, you realize these blooms are nothing more than yesterday's plastic bottles, cut, curled, and shaped into petals that shimmer like pressed glass. Each flower holds a quiet story, a clear bottle becoming pale lavender, a green bottle blooming into sage, a soft coral shape catching the sun like stained glass. Together they rise from the soil as a gentle border, guiding strawberries, thyme, and young basil as they stretch into the day. The wind moves through them with a faint rustle, blending with the scent of herbs, turning the whole corner into something unexpectedly tender. This fence doesn't ask to impress, it asks to be noticed. It stands as a reminder that even the simplest objects can carry beauty when given a chance to bloom again. And as you walk past it, watching the light play across each petal, you may feel a small shift inside, like hope or memory or something quietly beginning. And just ahead, another idea waits to unfold. Two Mirror and Ladder Herb Storywall. Imagine turning a forgotten corner of your backyard into a place where light itself becomes part of the garden. At first glance, it looks like a simple wooden ladder resting against an old fence. But as the sun moves across the day, tiny flickers of brightness reveal something more. A quiet mosaic made from broken mirror pieces and chipped ceramic tiles, catching just enough light to make the herbs below seem to glow. Clay pots sit on each rung, holding basil, rosemary, thyme, and lavender, their scents floating upward like a soft invitation. The ladder stands proudly, not as a tool but as a companion to the plants it now supports. Every crack in the wood and every scratch on the mirror pieces tells a story of something used, something worn, something given a second chance. When the breeze arrives, the herbs sway gently, their shadows dancing across the mosaic panel behind them. The light, the scent, the weathered textures, they blend into something quietly beautiful, something that feels real and lived in. This tiny herb wall becomes more than decoration. It becomes a moment of stillness, a place where simplicity and memory meet. And as you step back, letting the reflections fade into the warm afternoon, another idea is already waiting to guide you deeper into the garden. Three, vintage bike rim halo fence. Imagine walking along a simple garden path and suddenly finding a row of metal circles rising like quiet halos from the earth. They are old bike rims, rusted, weather-worn, once spinning down forgotten roads. Now they stand side by side, linked by nothing but intention, becoming a fence that feels more like poetry than structure. Morning light touches each rim gently, catching on spokes that glint like antique silver. Vines weave through the openings, their tendrils climbing, wrapping, stretching upward as if drawn toward a memory of motion. Morning glories, beans, or soft herbs soften the steel, turning every ring into a living wreath. When the breeze arrives, the leaves quiver and cast delicate shadows that drift across the gravel path below. Small jars hang from a few rims, holding tiny candles or tender sprigs of flowers. They sway lightly, adding rhythm to the quiet scene. Nothing feels forced, everything feels found. Metal rescued from a shed, plants taken from the soil, light borrowed from the sky. This fence becomes a gentle reminder of how beauty often grows where we least expect it. In rust, in repetition, in the way nature embraces what humans have left behind. As you step away, the circles seem to hum softly, inviting you toward the next idea that waits at the edge of the garden. Four, Mosaic mirror fruit courtyard panel. Imagine walking toward the far end of a small garden where the sunlight begins to soften, and finding a single panel shimmering quietly against the wood. At first, it looks like a window to another place, fragments of mirrors, chipped ceramic, and old tiles arranged in imperfect harmony. But the more you look, the more you see reflections of leaves, of sky, of your own movement passing gently across its surface. Hanging from simple hooks are woven baskets overflowing with strawberries, basil, and cherry tomatoes. Each basket leans against the mosaic backdrop as if posing for a portrait, their colors deepening under the warmth reflected by the mirror pieces. Around the base, lavender hums softly with bees, and the scent of rosemary drifts upward, turning this small corner into a courtyard that feels older than its materials. There is something tender about the broken pieces, how they catch the light without trying, how they prove that imperfection can still be luminous. And the panel itself, just one rectangle on a fence, shifts the entire atmosphere of the garden. It becomes a pause, a breath, a little moment of grace tucked between herbs and gravel. As you step away, the reflections blur into soft glimmers, leading you to the next idea waiting along the path. Five, clay pot bounty border. Imagine a garden path where the sunlight settles gently on rows of old clay pots, each one carrying a memory of seasons long gone. Some stand upright, steady and full of purpose. Others tilt playfully, as if whispering secrets to the soil. A few rest sideways, pouring out trailing herbs and tiny flowers like a slow, quiet waterfall of green. The terracotta holds warmth from the day, releasing it softly as the evening cools. Strawberries spill over the rims like red jewels, Thyme brushes against your fingertips with its ancient fragrance, and marigolds glow gold against the earthy clay. Here, even chipped pots, forgotten in storage rooms or cracked along the edges, find new life as part of a border that feels both humble and enchanting. There's a gentle rhythm to the arrangement. The repetition of curves, the contrast between clay and leaf, the way each pot seems to lean toward its neighbor as if sharing a story. Moss softens the bases, creeping around the gravel path, blending everything into one quiet, living tapestry. This border becomes more than decoration, it becomes a threshold. A place where the garden begins to speak in warm tones and small details, inviting you to slow your steps. And just beyond this path, the next idea waits with its own quiet magic. Six, rustic crate pantry wall fence. Imagine walking into a quiet corner of the garden and finding a wall built not from bricks, but from wooden crates, each one aged, softened, and shaped by time. Their surfaces carry scratches, faded stains, and tiny knots that whisper the memory of old barns, markets, or dusty storerooms. Yet here, stacked and arranged like a pantry open to the sky, they hold something new, life. Rosemary reaches out from a high crate, brushing the air with its warm scent. In a lower box, lettuce curls in gentle layers of green. Strawberries spill from the side of a drawer, glowing red like small treasures waiting to be found. Some crates are upright, others lie on their sides, creating pockets where sunlight falls differently, bright on one shelf, softly shaded on the next. There's a beautiful imperfection in the mismatched shapes and uneven grains. Moss gathers quietly around the edges. A sprig of thyme leans forward, almost as if greeting you. This pantry wall is not only practical, it feels like a living archive, a place where food, fragrance, and memory weave themselves into the structure of the garden. And as you step back to see the whole composition, a humble fence transformed into a layered story, you sense the beginning of another idea waiting just around the bend. Seven, tin can pocket trellis fence. Imagine a row of tin cans, once ordinary, dented, and forgotten, now hanging lightly along a wooden trellis as if they've always belonged there. Each can carries a soft pastel color: mint, buttercream, rose pink, pale blue. The paint clings to every curve and crease, celebrating the imperfections instead of hiding them. Together, they form a pocket garden that feels both playful and gentle. Inside these small metal vessels, herbs and flowers grow with surprising generosity. Thyme spills over the rim like a whisper of green. Marigolds add a burst of sunlight. Tiny peas climb upward, sending their delicate tendrils across the trellis in quiet determination. A few cans hold strawberries, small, bright, and sweetly unexpected. When the morning breeze passes, the cans sway slightly, creating a soft clinking sound that blends with birdsong and rustling leaves. Sunlight reflects off the trellis, catching the edges of the cans and giving the entire fence a warm, lived-in glow. Nothing feels forced, everything feels discovered. This pocket trellis doesn't try to be grand. It simply offers a small gesture of beauty, proving that even the humblest materials can hold life with grace. And as you follow the line of these painted cans, another idea begins to emerge just a few steps ahead. Eight, wicker basket herb curtain. Imagine approaching a wooden fence and noticing something gentle swaying in the breeze, a row of old wicker baskets, each one weathered by years of carrying fruit, bread, or stories from another time. Now they hang like a soft curtain along the garden wall, holding not goods but life itself. Their woven textures catch the light in warm, uneven patterns, making the whole fence feel alive. In one basket, mint rises with a cool, crisp scent. In another, basil spreads its leaves like small green wings. Cherry tomatoes spill over the edge of a wider basket, glowing like tiny lanterns in the afternoon sun. A trailing thyme plant cascades down, brushing the wooden boards with a softness that feels almost like breath. As the wind moves through, the baskets rock gently, as though humming a slow, familiar rhythm. Birds occasionally perch on the rim, testing the air before flying off again. The combination of wicker, herbs, and dappled sunlight turns this fence into something more than vertical storage. It becomes a tapestry of scent and shadow, a woven page from a storybook you didn't know you were reading. And as you walk past this herb curtain, feeling its movement and warmth, another idea unfolds just beyond the next turn in the garden. Nine, wooden spoon and cutting board character fence. Imagine a small stretch of garden where the boundary feels less like a fence and more like the first page of a children's story. Wooden spoons and old cutting boards, once stained with meals, memories, and years of kitchen chatter, now stand upright in the soil like gentle characters guarding the herbs below. Their surfaces carry carved smiles, painted petals, or hand-drawn vines that curl across the grain. Some spoons have soft pastel cheeks, others wear tiny crowns of dried flowers. A cutting board might hold a miniature pot of mint from a hook, swaying lightly as though greeting anyone who passes. Together, they form a village of personalities, shy, cheerful, mysterious, each one shaped not to impress but to delight. Morning sunlight brings out the warmth of the wood, while the scent of rosemary and thyme rises around them like a familiar embrace. Butterflies rest briefly on their tops, adding to the sense that this little line of characters has become part of the garden's quiet rhythm. There's something honest here, something playful and unexpected. It reminds you that beauty doesn't always come from grand ideas. Sometimes it comes from a drawer full of forgotten utensils waiting for a second life. And as you move past this whimsical fence, the garden invites you toward the final idea still waiting in soft afternoon light. Ten, fabric and suitcase tapestry fence. Imagine reaching the quietest corner of the garden, where the air seems softer and time feels a little slower. Along the fence, pieces of old fabric, scraps from dresses, curtains, blankets, flutter gently like pages from unwritten stories. Their patterns fade into one another, florals kissed by sunlight, paisley prints weathered by years, linen softened by countless washes. Together, they form a tapestry that sways in the breeze, turning the wooden fence into something warm and familiar. Beneath the hanging cloth, vintage suitcases sit slightly open, their once sturdy edges now softened by time. Inside them, life grows again. Basil rises through a lining once touched by distant travels. Kale fans its leaves across a faded interior. Tiny strawberries nestle in the corners like hidden treasures waiting to be found. The scent of lavender drifts through the garden, mingling with the delicate rustle of fabric. There's a deep tenderness in this corner, a feeling that everything here has been given a second life, not forced into beauty but rediscovered in it. Each fabric scrap holds a memory, each suitcase a journey, each plant a quiet triumph. This tapestry fence doesn't try to command attention. Instead, it invites reflection, the kind that settles slowly as you walk back toward the heart of the garden, carrying the feeling of a story still unfolding. If this episode gave you even one idea you want to try, don't let it stay on the screen. Look around your home, your storage room, your junk pile, and see what could become a fence, a border, or a tiny green wall. Tell me in the comments which design you'd start with first, or share your own twist so our little backyard fortune community can steal it, kindly. If you haven't yet, remember to like, subscribe, and send this video to a friend who keeps saying their yard is too small or too messy to be beautiful. Until next time, keep planting hope, keep seeing beauty where others see trash, and may your days be long, healthy, and filled with quiet garden magic.